Elizabeth Weiss is a national correspondent for USA Today and the grandniece of Violet Harris. Now, it's understandable if you've never heard of Violet Harris before, as even Elizabeth admits there's nothing noteworthy about her Aunt V, as her family called her, that would cause her to basically stand out. That is, until COVID-19 appeared and impacted life as we knew it. With great interest, mental health professionals and educators, along with historians, have taken a great interest in Violet Harris's diaries. Granted, there are many diaries written by professionals and reporters at the same time Violet was writing in her diary, but Violet's writings aren't filled with medical terms or philosophical musings. Instead, her observations are written as a child saw the world, because Violet was only 15 years old when the pandemic reached her home in Seattle. Perhaps her writings can speak to some parents today who are anxious that their children won't be okay or intellectually ready for the world since schools are only meeting virtually. She offers hope through her childlike observation and humor to reveal that our children are going to be okay. Here are her thoughts about the news that the school system was closing to prevent the spread of a deadly virus, followed by an entry she wrote when the schools reopened. On October 15th, 1918, she wrote, "It was announced in the papers tonight that all churches, shows, and schools would be closed until further notice to prevent Spanish influenza from spreading. Good idea?" she asks. "I'll say it is. So will every other school kid, I calculate. The only cloud in my sky is that the school board will add the missed days on the end of the term." 6 months later, though Violet had experienced isolation and the reality of this terrible disease when her best friend Reno became so sick she could hardly walk. Now, thankfully, her friend recovered, but many did not. But at the end of the shutdown, Violet retained her wit and her humor, writing on November 12th, "The ban was lifted today. No more masks. Everything open too. Schools open this week, Thursday. Did you ever?" As if they couldn't have waited till Monday. With her humor intact, her writings offer comfort that we and our children and our grandchildren will get through this difficult time. Her writings also provide a sense of hope that, though tough to imagine right now, one day we will return to normal. The best part about her message of hope is that she had no idea her diary, which she filled with private thoughts and observations, would become a widespread source of hope. In a similar way, Paul's letter to the Ephesus church was initially a private letter written to the congregation, and he had no way of knowing if the congregation would even heed his advice or retain this letter to share with the larger Christian world. When Paul wrote this letter, the Christian world was being viewed with hostility by the Roman Empire. And though Paul writes with optimism, it is likely that he was sitting in a Roman prison and facing charges of defying Caesar and spreading an unauthorized religious idea. Recognizing how easily one can become filled with despair as he sat in prison, Paul thought about the newly emergent church in Ephesus. These were brand new Christians, which consisted of both Gentiles and Hebrews. And he began to worry that Rome's anti-Semitic and anti-Jesus views would start to infiltrate the congregation and possibly destroy them. Eager to inspire the congregation to remain committed to God through their young faith, Paul encouraged them to count their blessings, and he started by commending them for their steadfast love and their steadfast faith. Naming these strengths several times in his letter, he encouraged them to keep doing so, that this would remain a blessing for their faith community. As he proceeded, Paul informed his brothers and sisters that in God's kingdom, both Gentiles and Hebrews are equally citizens of God's kingdom. Utilizing a number of phrases and metaphors to imply unity, Paul reminded the congregation that though the Holy Spirit and through the Holy Spirit, they all belong to the family of God. And as such, There is nothing that would separate their commitment to each other and from God's love. He claimed that neither money, fear, anxiety, powers, princes, nor principalities would hold power over God's church. Rather, he said, the church is held together by something more powerful and far more important, which is our shared faith in Jesus Christ. Also, he says, displaying love for each other and having a spirit of wisdom and revelation will hold us together. These are far more essential for our lives, as these display the greatness of God's power. Paul knew that the power of love is greater than the force of hate. And when the church comes under fire or is persecuted, the idea and practice of loving our neighbor produces far more results. Paul believed that trusting Christ completely and placing our efforts solely in this trust allows us to live a life full and fully as we see God revealed in our midst. Giving thanks for this revelation, he prays that the congregation will experience an ever-expanding relationship with God through Christ. Paul believed this relationship with God would allow the Holy Spirit to flow freely in our midst, so we receive a vision to what God is planning for us. And this vision would help us recognize that there is nothing richer or more valuable than a life in communion with God, both today and the life to come. Highlighting this life to come, Paul wanted the congregation to recall that even when they are pressed with looming threat of life and limb, God's power does not diminish. This is the same God who has the power to bring Jesus to life, the same power that has ultimate authority over the universe. In short, God rules. And the best part of all, as we are threatened by an invisible enemy today, God's amazing power is at work in those who believe. And this power is expressed through our trust in God and sharing our lives with each other as we take part in the life of the body of Christ. Following Christ and acknowledging his presence in our lives, we can experience the divine life and power of God that fills all things. With Christ in our lives, we are enabled to endure COVID, so we focus on caring for each other, so that together we overcome. With Christ, we are able to share the love and grace and hope and peace of God with each other and with our neighbors. Granted, we know that this year is different, and we have to share this love differently. But God made us creative creatures, so we don't see limitations to care even though we stand 6 feet apart. Creative and with a vision that God gives us, we can still serve our neighbors in need. And just like it when it comes to placing a pause on our Thanksgiving traditions. And I confess, it's heartbreaking not to meet with family this Thursday in an effort to prevent spreading the virus, or encountering someone on the road with the virus and then taking it to others. Still, because of our common faith and creativity, my parents and grandmother will share our Thanksgiving meal and conversation over Zoom. Sure, it's different, but I'm reminded of an account Dorothea Schuler gave me during one of my house visits several years ago. She described her life as a little girl living in Berlin during the Second World War. When Berlin came under fire, she said her father would carry her to the basement of their home and turn on a record player with the volume up, so when the bombs outside were dropped, she could not hear the whistling before they struck homes and businesses. She said she should have been afraid, but her father's presence allowed her to know she was safe. So with dancing music on, she found peace in the middle of a war zone. Friends, I know some of us believe this war against the virus is lost, but I believe through God, we will overcome. I believe God is sending wisdom and revelation through the Holy Spirit to doctors and regular persons alike, so we will emerge from this war victorious. On that day, I know I will have multiple celebrations to observe with family and you, my church family. I know most importantly, on that victorious day, we can avoid catching or sharing COVID, And I plan to count our blessings, naming them one by one, because I know God has remained with us, given us mental and physical vigor to face every day. And God made it possible that we could discover several journals and diaries written by children set through their eyes as they faced a similar dangerous virus. They give us hope, and their writings encourage us to hold firm to our faith. And after we defeat this virus, we will gather to sing songs of joy and gladness. We will write stories and add to our own journals about how we hunkered down and remained safe so everyone could emerge from their homes safely. And who knows, perhaps in 100 years or so, someone will find our writings and our letters and will discover that through this period we held firm to our faith, lifted our thanks and praise to God, and did all that we could to not endanger the lives of others so we could all gather together. So if you've not done so already, perhaps this week, take time to write a letter or add a journal entry about your source of hope, even as things seem bleak. Write about how you retained your faith in God. And as we saw God bless our lives, even as we were threatened by a deadly virus, we were able to share with our families how we were able to count our blessings, naming them one by one.